I barely remember him. Barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies. And it was like he was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what he did, he wrote a book, Anonymous, said all sorts of lies and bad things. And I think it's like a traitor. It's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least. But I didn't know anything about him. And he wrote a book, Anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction. Had a lot of publicity. Got himself a nice job with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. I seem to be able to sustain. But if that happened to other presidents, I mean, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat president, I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like that can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book about very confidential meetings? And, because they happen to be one of a lot of people in a room, and they go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal. And everybody's saying, who is it, who is it, who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later. And he got a lot of publicity off that one. He's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
An accusation there of treason for Miles Taylor, a former official at the Department of Homeland Security. Joining our conversation is the publisher of The Bulwark, host of the podcast, The Focus Group. Sarah Longwell's here. A longtime journalist who's covered Trump for a long time said that after this reversal, having to reverse himself on tariffs because the markets were so bad, they were an embarrassment to Donald Trump. She warned, he'll become meaner. He'll turn up the volume on the retribution stuff and the cruelty on the domestic front. I don't know that there's any correlation. Those executive orders look typed up and ready to go and ready to hand to him. Maybe it was always the plan to do that today. But what is your sense of the political backdrop against which all of today's events have taken place?
First of all, let me just say how insane it is that the mechanism by which he is attacking these people is an executive order. Why would that be? I mean, it's one thing if he wants to be upset or he wants to pursue litigation if he thinks claims have been made, but to sign an executive order attacking these people, especially Chris Krebs. I mean, Chris Krebs, all he did was rebuke the president's false claim that the election wasn't stolen as somebody in his administration. And here's what Trump is trying to do. Look, I don't know how much of it. You never know with Donald Trump. Is he trying to distract you like a guy with a laser pointer and the media is a bunch of cats? Is he trying to get people to chase things so they stop talking about the fact that he caved and did a total about face on the tariffs after telling us for days that he wasn't going to do a pause, and now he's suddenly pausing because the world economy is collapsing? Is he doing this as a distraction? I don't know, but on its face, it is incredibly pernicious for him to sign executive orders and launch investigations into people simply for speaking out against what they saw from his administration. And also what he was saying there is, though, it's like highly unusual. Look, lots of books get written by people who are insiders in administrations who talk about the things that happened in the rooms. That's actually very common. That's what reporters do. And what he's trying to do here, though, is to make people afraid of speaking out against him. Not just people from before, but people who are there now. People who have an understanding of what he's doing and who, as people are looking for insight, he's saying, if you leak, because people leak against Trump all the time. I mean, nobody leaks against Trump more because people inside are trying to make Trump not do crazy things, right? By telling the media he's about to do crazy things. And so leaking is like a mechanism for them to curb some of Trump's worst impulses. And so he's trying to make people afraid by saying he's going to launch investigations into anybody who speaks out. I mean, this is some of the most insane authoritarian stuff we've seen out of him.
Sarah, you made a perfect point, though, I think, to start this conversation about the laser pointer. I mean, the two stories that have left a mark are the man-made debacle of the tariff announcement, as well as Signalgate, another man-made national security crisis. Talk about sort of the wear and tear that those two sort of twin self-inflicted crises have taken on his early presidency.
Well, just on Signalgate really quickly, the idea that Donald Trump is a real stalwart around classified information, considering that both he left a bunch of classified documents in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, he refused to return those documents. He's also held nobody accountable for Signalgate. And the only reason we stopped talking about the fact that our national security was so compromised by that, because they added a journalist to their signal chain as they discussed attack plans, is because the economy was crashing around us. And this is what Donald Trump does, right? He lurches us from crisis to crisis, many of them of his own making, and then he acts like he's solved the crisis when he does something like announce a 90-day pause. But these are things that had been breaking through, especially the economic. I mean, I've been doing focus groups all week. People are very nervous about the state of the economy. They are very scared. People who are his supporters have been very nervous about what they're seeing. And so, when you say the wear and tear, here's what I know. I know that it usually takes until the summer for somebody's own voters, a president's own voters, to start to say, "Ugh, I'm not sure I made the right choice," or "I'm not liking what I'm seeing." Donald Trump, it's taken him 2 months before he's got voters starting to say, "What is this guy doing? And why is he doing it? This is nuts."
I want to ask you one more quick question about politics, and then I want to bring John Heilemann into our conversation. Miles Taylor has responded to Trump's attack. One of the things that we've talked about for 9 years, and it feels like snowflakes, right? But there is a thing in the Trump voter that they need an off-ramp. And I wonder if the tariffs and the intentional damage to the economy is one such off-ramp. You know, Donald Trump talked awkwardly about groceries, but he did run on making things cheaper. And he did, the day he got elected, start talking about things going up. I wonder if that sort of bait and switch has registered.
No, it is absolutely registered. And here's the thing. I always try to make this distinction between the hardcore MAGA types, right, who are going to give Trump a lot of leeway, and the big part of the Trump voter coalition were just people who wanted prices lowered. And they're different from hardcore MAGA people, right? They wanted things to be cheaper. Trump's a businessman. I think he's going to make things cheaper. And when he fails to do that, it drives a knife through right through the heart of the central mythology around Trump, which is that his business acumen can somehow make the economy better for everybody. And so that's what's happening right now, is people are feeling like, oh, wait, he's not making the economy better. Prices aren't going down. And I think that is the off-ramp, not for everybody in the Trump coalition, but for a certain chunk of voters.